Elvenhome, and into this episode where I deal with the dualling of the line up from Greyhavens up to Sharky's End. I'm recording this at the end of the process, so at least you know it does eventually work. And it's been quite interesting as a process to work on a different part of the layout from the one that I've been concentrating on, which was much more scenic work than it was track work or developing a new part of the layout. And that's been quite good because it's encouraged me and it's reignited my enthusiasm to get on working with other parts of the layout. So that's all been good stuff. The next section was the bit that I shot now 6 days ago when I started out. And in that section, I talk about the genus of the idea of dualling the line. And one of the things I forgot to say in that, which I can put right now, is that it was also suggested to me by David Auger in reply to one of my earlier updates, I think the January update. So thank you again, David, for the idea, which had been buzzing around in my head, but your suggestion sort of solidified in my mind that it was worth doing. And you'll see also that I got sidetracked at some point. I saw a shiny new toy to play with by building something connected, but not necessarily vital, although it felt so at the time. Hope you enjoyed the video. I've interspersed the shots of the development of the dualling and the other bit of work that I started doing with some running shots of engines. So you can get some trains all the way through. So I'll come back and speak to you again, back in time of 6 days in just a moment. You may remember from some videos ago now that one of the many things when I was away from the layout on an extended holiday last September, the idea came for the raised area, which is now taken away so it doesn't get knocked, and also that as my plans for High Elven, which will eventually sit over there where all the buildings are currently stored, that will be a big raised area. You can just see the bowstring bridge in the background, which will come up a bit to carry the line across the river or canal, once I make my mind up what that's going to be, onto the raised area above the where the track bends round currently. And High Elven originally was going to be a kind of chocolate boxy village, but in my mind over time it became the place where grain and other materials are brought down to Weathertop. And a single line going up here when it was a little branch train just chugging up and down on its own worked fine, but not once you're going to start having goods trains going up and down, or possibly more passenger trains going up and down. So the line is to be dualled, and you can see that I've put in place already the track so that the line diverges or duals from just after Greyhavens, as you can see there, goes up around the curve to the top and then comes together just before Greyhavens Sharky's End station. And a proper Sharky's End station, if I just zoom in a little bit, that is very much a mock-up, will be built at some point too. I've removed everything off the layout because I'm doing the other thing that I said I was going to do, which was to work from the back of the layout to the front so that I don't keep biffing things, and so things have been put out of the way so I can't biff them. Because I have sort of put this in after I'd already built the incline, it gave me a bit of a problem what to use by way of a point motor. And so what I've decided to do is to use the surface mounted point motors, and that one's sort of sitting there. It won't be sitting on that cork. I need to put cork down all the way up the incline and round and do something else which I'll show you in just a moment, because they're really intended for 00 gauge when you sit them level with the point. But at N gauge, Pico suggests you need to sit it lower, and as it happens, I think the depth of the cork is just right to allow the pin to go into the point motor, the rod which pulls the pin across, and not come out. So we'll see how that goes. And the cabling for that can be then routed through the back of the back seam and down and under the layout. And I'll also take the opportunity, which I'll have to do anyway, of putting some more dropper feeds on the incline. The incline is fed, if I come back a little bit, right over this side of the layout at this point here. And that's fine, it's worked absolutely fine. It won't work obviously once I've got points in, and in any event it would be good to put a few more droppers in the incline anyway. I'm also going to take the opportunity to permanently stick down the track, the outside, let's get my finger in shot, there we go, the outside line here. It's, as trains are moving over, although it's pinned down, you can probably see that track moving. It needs to be fixed properly. And a lot of this temporary stuff was waiting until I got round to doing ballasting and that sort of stuff, in the way that this was originally designed to be, which of course was open in this way. So that can be stuck down as well. It gives me an opportunity to do that line, and maybe at some point even do some ballasting, but I'm not sure about that just yet. The other thing I've got to do, which just to come over here, you will now see there is a gaping hole at the back there, which has been filled for the last year, I think, by a piece of card that was sitting on a support underneath. And that piece of card is now off here. This morning, I've made it fit exactly. So this is now a template, and I'm going to cut out of a 1/2 inch piece of foam board, polished styrene foam, a piece that will slot right in there on 3 or 4 supports to give me a level area, and then the whole of that can be covered in cork, which is sitting there. May not have enough cork, probably need to go to the model shop. I don't really need to go to the model shop, but I'll probably go anyway. So the thing for today is to get all the cork, get everything fitted in and all the cork down and stuck, and that piece of track stuck. And maybe I'll also be able to get some of the track in. But I'll come back to you once I've got the track in and I'm starting to get the point motors to work. So speak to you in a bit. Well, here we are, a day on from the last bit of recording, and as you can see, what started out as a very simple dualling of the line has turned into something rather more. However, quick update, this bit of track going up on the incline has now been stuck down, and I have started the process of dualling the line. You can see the point is there. None of that's wired in yet. But as I got to this end of the layout, I began to realise that I'd forgotten to plan properly, because it makes no sense just to dual the line up here. I had to, as I think I mentioned, fill in the area at the back, and I'll put up here some images that I took of the construction using the template, the card template that's been there quite a while, to use some of the Woodland Scenics foam sheets and the cutter to cut out a piece that slots in there with 3 supports, and that then has been covered over with cork, and the cork is laid now all the way down here, mostly glued in, I think he said, trying to remember. Yes, I'm pretty sure it is. And then it was when I got to this bit that I realised that if I was going to be, I don't really want to come here and do the sidewall for the incline at a later date. So shaper sheet has been stuck to the risers and then covered in the plaster, some rather better than others. And that's hardening, that will get painted, and then I'll come back and do a bit more scenic work on it a bit later. But it will do for the time being. It will finish that corner off a little bit. But the main thing that's occurred to me is here. As you can see, the platform is hanging off the end, and that's because I need more space between where the curve comes around here and the platform to be able to put the point in with its surface point motor. And it also occurred to me that actually at this point it would make sense to make the bridge abutment for the bowstring bridge, said bowstring bridge, scale model scenery, now rather than coming back and doing it later, because that would support the track properly, particularly if, as I do, I want to try and fix this track up here down permanently by gluing it down so it doesn't move. And if I'm going to be doing that, I might as well also do the proper job of building the station at the back. So this video is going to be taken over quite a few days as I set about doing those things to do a complete job. It is the fascinating thing about this hobby, the extent to which you are doing a civil engineering project, and as such you really need to think about all the things that you're going to be doing. So I'll just go back to the desk and show you how I'm going about starting to do the bridge abutments, which may or may not work, but we shall see. Speak to you again in just a moment. Okay, well here we are back at the desk. The inspiration for the bridge abutment, the kind of thing, I had a look on the internet, and basically you can do what you like really, because bowstring bridges have had all sorts of types of abutments. But generally when you're going over a very large, or rather tall gap, there needs to be a more substantial structure to support it. And here is a ratio kit which is used to support a truss and girder, a steel truss bridge, which I rather like the look of, but I don't particularly want to go and buy. So I started cudgelling my mind as to how might I try and make something like that. Not necessarily the same, but sort of like that. And the foam board came to mind. The height that the bridge the abutment needs to go up is 3 inches. And what you have here, because they're just sticking together, so they're probably stuck now. Let's take this one off because that'll make it easier. Are 2 pieces of foam board stuck together, which you can see there, which will now be stuck one on top of the other. And hey presto, you can see that. I have the basic shape of the abutments, giving a nice firm base and then thinning out as it gets to the top. And what I propose to do is to have here something to cap the thing off, and also to provide the access, the edge decoration for where the track will come across. So this will be sitting that way, and the track will cross at about here. I've managed to salvage and repurpose the bridge supports for the viaduct. You can make that viaduct either single or double track, and so I pulled apart some of the double track ones that I'd already made up for the viaduct, which I abandoned many moons ago, and cut them down, and these will be the supports for the bowstring bridge mid-river or canal once it comes off the abutment. The thing I'm just about to embark upon is to see whether I can use some plasticard that I've got, which has a rather nice, this is dressed stone, but it's got rather nice substantial sized bricks, which I think would be just right for this. Need to see how that will look once I get all the pieces on, and I haven't yet worked out how I'm going to cap these bits. So once I've got this put together, I'll come back and show you where I've got to. Well, this has gone together rather quicker than I expected. I glued the 3 blocks together to form the 1-inch steps that take us up 3 inches altogether. The plasticard dressed stone has gone on, and that's looking okay. I decided to use the other plasticard that I had, which is a pavement, I think, strictly speaking. And it was used, if you remember from the Vicar's Garden, the individual paving slabs that went to the shed and the greenhouse and around the pond was this card, obviously cut into the individual slabs. But I think that's a more sensible top to each of the blocks than using the dressed stone, because that would just look odd in the direction that they were. This is intentionally left empty for the moment because I've got to finally work out how to carry the bridge as it comes off the abutment onto what the first of the supports, and the decoration that the tower decoration that I'll have there as it goes through. There'll be a buttress that will come up the side here to where it joins onto the layout to cover that edge. And once I've got this painted up, which I'm probably going to use an engineer's blue to do, I think, I'll have a look. But I was playing around, this is a half round strip styrene, goodness knows what size, a couple of millimeters. And I think that over the joins might work quite well. And give some attempt at decoration, which this would probably have in real life, because I suspect if it was being built properly, this whole area would then be capped off, and this would be built on top and then capped off and then built on top, rather than it being one whole piece. I don't know, maybe the builders and engineers out there, when you're watching this, can let me know. But that seems quite good. I'm only building one at the moment, because until I build the upper section on the other side of the bridge, I don't know what the terrain's going to be like to receive the line, and I may or may not want to have something like this, but I've got the plastic card to do it, and this takes no time at all to put together. So I'm really rather pleased. That's a good afternoon's work. So the next thing is to get out the primer and give it a coat of primer, and then paint it up properly. So once I've got it fully painted and the half round strip styrene on, I'll come back. Okay, well, this is a day or so after the last recording, because this has taken several coats of paint to get it looking how I want it to do. But that's the abutment now finished. On reflection, I've decided not to put the half round styrene on. When I put it on, it just looked rather, I think that just looks rather odd. So I'm going to leave it off for now. This won't get permanently fixed in place for some time, but it needed to be produced to enable me to position Sharky's end station, which is something that I'll need to do to be able to run trains up there, because, as I've said, the track needs to be extended a little. I'm going to leave it at this now, because the final bits will be done once I've got Sharky's station built and know precisely where the station ends and where the bridge will start, where the bridge will fit here. Not so much as in that sense, because I know it's going to fit flush with the edge, but where along here the bridge will actually sit. And once I know that, then I can build the capital for the top of the abutment and any walling along the edge. So that's for something for another day and for a little while away. But what I want to do now, this is now this sideline which is taking me away. I'm not entirely taken away. If I pick you up slowly and take you around to the layout, you can see that indeed things are happening. The track is all laid in, and I tested it this morning. It has power to it, and an engine ran up both loops and worked perfectly happily. The tins, which are of course an absolute requirement for all railway modelers, are there just to hold the track down while it's drying. We have no tins in the cupboard now, and you can see what sorts of things we eat. That little bit there is a piece of thinner cork to get the right height for the point motor. And so that's it for today. I'm going to stop now. But for tomorrow, the point motors need to be wired in, and that's giving me a little bit of a headache because the power bus for the point motors didn't envisage anything being up here. So getting wires to both to the common return, let alone anything else, is giving me pause for thought, and I may have to completely rework the power bus, but we'll see. So I'll come back once I've got the point motors in and working. I don't think I need to show you how I do those, but I'll see when I come to look at how I wire them, just in case anybody's not used the surface mounted ones before. So I'll come back in just a moment and show you where we are. Okay, well, this is probably about a week, nearly. No, it's Monday. I started Tuesday last week. Everything got put back yesterday. The point motors require contact adhesive to hold them to the cork, which itself is stuck down, and that needs 24 hours to cure. So I've left everything, been very good, not played with it. So now I'm going to try and run a train up, and we'll see whether everything works. This is probably tempting fate, but we'll see. We'll see. So train is in the bay platform, and we're going to try and run it up to Sharky's end station without stopping, and then change the points and run it back down just to outside of Underhill Tunnel. I'm not going to take it all the way back to the station, just to see if everything works. So here we go. So the train starts departing. UE. Okay. Well, I think, ladies and gentlemen, we can call that a success. Well, that just about wraps up this episode from Elvenhome. It's been really enjoyable to work on a different part of the layout, and as I said at the start, it's really encouraged me to get on with working in other parts of the layout. Hope you've enjoyed the shots of the train running. A lot of those have been taken with the gimbal, and I promised to do a review of the gimbal and how I use the gimbal, and that I suspect, maybe not next video, but the one after that, certainly during June, because I'm feeling I'm more comfortable in using it. The gimbal now goes in the direction I expect it to when I press buttons, which it wasn't doing. And I'll end with some footage that I took just a moment ago, running two engines and actually getting them to pass on the loop. So until we speak again, if you've liked the video, please do like it and share it. And if you've not subscribed before, please do subscribe and hit the bell notification on the end. It'd be lovely to have you along. Thank you to all my subscribers. I'm now over 900, getting on to 1,000, and we'll have to think of what I'll do as and when I get to 1,000. And if you've got comments, please do leave comments. I really enjoy getting the comments. As you know, part of the genius for the idea here was from somebody else suggesting it to me, as there have been other suggestions. So if you feel like making a comment and you've not done so before, be bold. I'll really look forward to getting them. So until we talk again, that's bye-bye from me. Bye-bye.